Okay, and we're live. So, good evening, everybody. Welcome to TFC Live. This is season 3, episode 27. And this week we decided to call this one the post bounty wash up and weekly update. Pretty straightforward, really. Bounty 11's just finished. So, first of all, I'll say hello to the admins. Hello, Robin. How are we?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Sporting a lovely, sort of nice top hat there. And hello, Brian. How are you, mate?
The cheese ball count is 3.
Oh, yeah. Ryan's in the middle of a campaign at the moment. We'll talk about that a bit more in a minute. In chat, then, live at the moment, I see Ford is in there doing a bit of moderation, and Robin's jumped in as well. Just quickly say hello. That's good. Shorty's in there, Captain Mac, Anton's in there as well, Naughty Nick's in there. Okay, headache. I like that. That's quite funny. So there's a few people in chat as well. So if you want to shout out, just say hi at least, and then we'll get somewhere. We'll go straight into the slides because there's a little bit to talk about tonight. And first of all, we have the title slide. So there we go. As I said, it's season 3, episode 26. And yes, it is the 4th of July. For those in the States, it's important. For those in the UK, not so.
For those in Canada,
what is it they say? Happy Treason Day or something like that?
Yeah, Happy Treason Day. Yeah, yeah, it's amusing. It's all about numbers. Anyway. What else have we got? Right, okay, so content for tonight. There we go. It's quite a lot. Yeah, so the review of Bounty Season 11, the sales that are on for, obviously, the yearly sales as it is now for the 4th of July. Titanium cost reductions, we like that. Okay, Siege target transition, yeah, it's going down quite well. Daily deals update, okay, yeah, that's quite reasonable. Rapid Assault TLC, we'll talk about that as well. The Hydra Hollow TLC, and then bug fixes and a bit of a rebalancing as well. So, all is good in the land of BP this week. Well, certainly better than it has been before. Yeah, first and foremost, though, Liam99. It's the man with the goo. It's his birthday today. We're not going to say how old he is, but we'll just say happy birthday, Liam. And I hope you're having a good evening. I'm sure Lucy is spoiling you rotten, as she always do. Super duper. And into Bounty. Robin, take it away.
Okay. Bounty is an event where big players repeatedly smash little bases or alts and steal lots of bounty to spend on shiny new PvP tech.
I know, I changed it again.
I know, I saw that.
It's about real. It's true this time, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, good. Right, okay. Let's do a realistic slide. Ooh, 1, 2, 3. Here we go.
Okay, so we did have some changes this time around, some good and bad. First off, we had an additional bounty reward for hitting player bases. In addition to stealing 50% of the player's unsecured bounty, they also had a flat rate based on the level of the base that you could take as well. The additional bounty is even more than the max value of a same level case. And in doing that, they also cut off the extra had for the replica bases. But basically, even if somebody had just banked and had 0 unsecured, they were actually worth some money or some bounty points if you went and hit them. So that was pretty good. We'll kind of talk about the consequences of that here in just a second.
Yes.
We also had an extra day. They went ahead and started a day early, which I kind of liked because it gave a little bit extra time. And people had the opportunity to kind of spread out what they needed with all the points. The ugly side, the NPC replica bases, they put the guards back in. Boo. I know they were working on the over damage and all the other stuff, but it is so hard to kill some of those fleets. And so there were many replica bases in there that basically you peaked and then left because you knew there was no way you were going to time out. And for some of them were pretty much unkillable. And then we had the dock auto repair, which of course was not just for bounty. It is game wide. So basically, if you get hit now and you're off the game, even if you're off the game for 10 hours, your dock is auto repairing behind the scenes. In the past, when you logged in, that when your dock showed repaired and then people could hit you. Now it's kind of doing it behind the scenes and it is live. So if you get hit 3 hours after you've been hit before, somebody can still take your dock. So the positives for that for bounty were that you could go out there and hit a base that had just had a bubble fall that was originally flat, now had a dock, so you could get extras. In the regular game, the kind of good thing about this, I don't know if a lot of people have taken advantage of it, is that you can now hit dead bases for ally points.
You can, yeah, and banned bases as well, yeah.
And banned bases as well. So, I don't like it because they changed the way that they did it. It did cause some angst, especially for like lower levels. Before, if somebody got like a frubble so that they could keep their grants, that didn't work this time, because as soon as their bubble fell, their dock was essentially repaired so people could keep hitting them and taking their bounty grants. What are your thoughts, guys?
Oh, yeah, interesting. I mean, for me, the fact that, do you know what, I like the concept of, the enticement of getting people to hit other people's bases, because obviously you're gaining more bonus points than hitting obviously the replicas on the sea. But obviously the insequence of having auto dock repair, and the fact that if you flatten somebody and they're really keen, they want to get on with bounty, then they'll go out and hit somebody else's base and pop their bubble. Well, unless they've coined their everything, which is not cheap, their place is pretty flat. And if you've wrecked their guard already, then you're going to go in and actually level them very, very quickly and gain, six. If it's over level 100 anyway, 600 bounty straight away. And I think players cottoned on pretty quickly that, there's a bit of a freebie there from Kicksai, isn't there? So then they're thinking, well, hang on a minute, if it's and the fact that, if you went in and the OP, which started to auto repair by itself, it didn't give you a proper bubble. You could just keep going back in. So, and that was it. It was open season as far as the players are concerned. Everybody then noticed that it was almost just as quick to hit each other's bases. And I know alliances were doing it to each other and that sort of stuff, and people were hitting, untagged bases, and there was lots going on. And, I went and hit some alliance. Actually, I did clean an alliance up with a couple of friends of mine from my own alliance, just because I actually found bounty getting a little bit boring because there was nothing really to do. I found it quicker to hit bases, true bases, because as you were saying earlier, Robin, some of them with 1,000 straight off with their 6 bonus, and they were just going and getting 1 or 2 targets themselves. You were getting 1,000 straight away. So, and some of the replica bases were harder because you had to 100% them, whereas a real base you don't have to 100%. All you got to do is just get the 50% and the OP. So there's lots of pros and cons from it, but in concept, I appreciate what they tried to do. In execution, it didn't pan out quite, I think, as they intended. They knew there was an issue, though, and fair dues to them, they didn't stop, and they didn't, adjust bounty midway through the weekend and really mess it up for people. So, which they could have done, I suppose, but they didn't do it. So, I do see a change coming for Bounty 12, though.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. I did go out and actually hit player bases, and because people were able to get points however they got them, a lot of people had their guards pulled, and I was kind of sneaky. I was catching some people that were hitting like little alt bases, and so I would like kill their guard while they were in the alt base, wait till they'd get out, and then they'd see no message, their base is under attack, and then as soon as they'd go in there and hit, I'd go in there and attack again. So I had a couple of big hits that were 4,800, 3,600. So that was kind of nice to be able to get some points. And it did actually meet some really cool people within the game, because when you hit somebody's base 3 or 4 times over the weekend, you kind of end up messaging backwards and forwards. So I kind of got to meet some pretty cool pirates.
Yeah, that's a good bit. Brian, how about your experience, mate?
I didn't play bounty.
Oh, you didn't do bounty at all?
Because I'm a scrub. So, I mean, and this show and the other show, between the 2 shows, I think they covered pretty much everything that I would say. My only question is, so overdamage may or may not have been working.
I don't think.
And overdamage existed because, in part, of the guard fleets in replica bases. Because of the separate rules, you have to kill them completely. So, with concern about whether or not overdamage was working, I wonder why they brought back guards in replica bases, especially since they made it more enticing to hit regular bases with the flat bounty, which I think was a good idea. But at the same time, it also meant that I know some people were using some farming strats, but it also meant if you banked, you were still vulnerable, like you were still worth bounty to someone because of the flat amount.
Yeah.
I would think that if they wanted to keep that system but make a change, I think that they should keep it, but you'll only get the flat amount for a particular base a certain number of times per day. Like I bank my 6,000 or whatever, I'm worth 0, but someone hits me, they get 600. And they can only get the 600 from me, or I guess anyone in the whole game can only get the bonus 600 from me 5 times a day, 4 times a day, whatever. So that will prevent the people that are farms from being mercilessly farmed as they try to accomplish their objectives.
The other piece of this too is, and this was brought up last time, and it was the same way this time, was that if TSM is worth, let's say 10k or just under 10k, and I go and hit him, and while I'm in the process of hitting him and he banks, he still keeps his points and I also get points. So there was a lot of extra points in the game because of that.
Yeah, I like that. And like you were saying, if you managed to sneak in because somebody was actually using, obviously, a method of attributing points to their base, and you were waiting for them to get up to like 7 or 8k, you could just jump around, go and get them. And even if they jumped out and noticed that you were doing it and then banked, well, then, hey, you both got the bonus out of that. You've done it legitimately because you're going to go and smash their base and get the OP and that sort of stuff. And they've done it because actually they've just noticed, as you've said, there's something in the game which unfortunately, just like gunboating, asking somebody else in another alliance to chuck a gunboat in your base and getting you 1,000 points a day, it's been in Bounty for 4 or 5 seasons now. So it's nothing new. But anyway, it's an acknowledgement. I have to say, poorly executed, but a really good concept, and I'm sure it will change. Well, I know it's going to change. So let's see what they do for Bounty 12. But in general terms, yeah, acknowledged, and I'm sure there'll be adjustments to follow. Next.
Yeah. A couple of other things. As with the last time, this was the first time that I did this. I was out of town last bounty, so I could not do this, and so this was my first attempt with the multiple checkpoints, and I loved it. I was able to schedule time, sit down, do a couple of hours worth of bounty, go off and play kitchen wench, and not have to sit there and worry about getting hit. So love the bank as needed, love the auto 10k, and then like being able to decide, I've got 5k, I'm good, or leave it go a little bit longer. Lower levels could get about 17k. It's probably up to maybe 20k. By playing smart with bounty drips and gunboat defense hits and bubbles, so on and so forth. There were, because of the way that the bounty was set up, a lot of people that were normally out autoing the lower NPC targets were not this time. So lower level players actually were able to go out there and hit a bunch of 60s and 70s, with a couple of writs and get a lot of really good points. So that was good. And then, positive or negative bases could be hit for bounty even if they'd banked.
Yeah, there's 2 sides to that. So, but that's the acknowledgement. There's a feature there. So, and it was utilized. All right.
Yeah. I took a look at the top prizes. I did not include turret build tokens. This was just for the hull and the special. And the weapon, and it was about 85k, which was 20 more than last month, less than the month before. So make that 105k with the 2 jabs. They did have a lot of prizes for all price points. They had dropped the specials and the missiles and the attack mods for the MSC. So somebody for 20k could get 3 MSCs and the components and the weapons, maybe not the tac mods. And so there were a lot of people that were able to get some extra stuff at reasonable prices. Of course, they also had the Boulder Fist and its toys that were out there. So I thought they did really good on the pricing this time. In fact, I think we had mentioned last week that the components for the, what's the new hull, the ballistic one?
Impact Cruiser?
The Impact Cruiser, yeah.
Impact Cruiser, sorry, I was having a brain fart. The specials and the weapons had actually dropped down lower quicker for those. So people like me that were catching up were able to do that. And then, of course, they did have the build tokens. They had, I think it was 3 Conqueror class tokens, as well as Conqueror Yard tokens, and then a bunch of turret tokens. So I thought the prizes were reasonably priced. And with the way that it was set up this time, people who had not had the opportunity last time had the ability to catch up. Yeah,
I think for most people, and there was quite a few that got to that stage. I think 220 mostly got you everything that was there available in the game, and a lot of people got up on turrets because there was a lot of people missing the turrets and that sort of stuff. So I included. Yeah, I think in concept wise, there was, I don't know if the total number of actual people playing this time was more or less, but I did see a lot more action, particularly in the sector I was, which wasn't particularly live, but in the sectors to the east and west of me and my alliance, we did see quite a little bit of participation. So it seemed reasonable, I think, to be honest, even though it was a day longer. So whether that encouraged people more to play, I'm not really sure. You're dead right, Robin, about the fact that you can bank, the fact that you could bank when you wanted, which was reduced as the days went on. Obviously, you got less options to do that. Yep. But to be able to do it when you wanted to made a huge difference. You could really pick when you wanted to go and actually, right, I've got a solid period of time and now I'm going to go and absolutely go for it. And then bank and forget. And even if you missed, one of the steps, it didn't really matter. It didn't do any harm.
Yeah, well, and you could bank, forget, and pull your guard, and so your base may have gotten hit, but you could jump on the next day, throw your guard in, and if you wanted to, coin the rest of the base repair or just let it slow repair. So yeah, not having that risk, for me at least, was a huge deal, and for a lot of the lower and mid levels as well.
Yeah. Okay, so better than previous bounty, I think, and a couple of adjustments needed, I still think, for bounty 12, but it seems to be the norm.
I can't believe next month's going to be a year.
A full year, yeah, 12, yeah. Crazy, that's gone by quick, hasn't it? And it survived a year, which is good, a PvP that has survived a year. So, yeah. Anyway, so here we go, the 4th of July sale. Okay, so it's obviously, there are some, Independence Day sort of skins out there. One for the Manticore, obviously, and one for the Dragon. We do know, though, interestingly, the Dragon one's nice and it's great, but the problem is not many people are going to get to see it if you build this new Dragon flagship that's supposed to be coming out. Because obviously, I don't think it'll apply to the flagship. I don't think it applies also to the flagship for the Manticores either. So, up to you. It's nice to have if you're patriotic and that sort of stuff. I did see some banter on some of the pages and then some questions. Why is it just US stuff? Well, it's an American company that runs a game, and B, it's the 4th of July. So why don't they? There's no harm in it. Do you want to run through the rest of this one, Robin?
It's because we have the tea. We tossed it overboard. Yeah, okay, so we've got some refit discounts started yesterday up until tomorrow noon Pacific time. 40% discount on instant builds and refits for the Manties, 50% on the Inferno Dragon, 60 on the Proto, 40 on the Proto Centurion, 75% on the Buccaneer, and 75% on the Hydra Siege Cruiser. Now, these are builds and refits. This is for instant. This is not, they didn't just cut the time off. You have to speed these up to be able to take advantage of it. And as stated, skins. I know there was some confusion because the Infernal Dragon one doesn't actually say the word skin, but it is only a skin. Don't buy that thinking that you're actually going to get the hull. But they actually look pretty cool, but it doesn't do any good if the only place that you're going to see him, at least to me, is in battle by myself. If it would apply to the flag, then maybe.
Yeah, that's the thing, because it is PvE stuff, so not many people watch people do PvE. PvP is a nice thing to go and go, look at that, and he's always got one of those in there as well. But when you're doing repetitive hits on again and again and again, you're like, oh look, that's exciting. And then it's like, yeah, well, I bought it, so I'm going to keep showing it to myself. But down to each other. Right, Titanium. This is a good update as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
So yeah, the reduction in titanium costs to build and refit, basically, long and short, there's a fixed amount now, basically, and you should be able to do all you need inside your, obviously, Conqueror shipyard and have enough titanium stacked up if you're full up to do what you need to do. And there's a really interesting, I'm glad Brian's here because there's a big mathematics sort of piece in a minute, which blew my mind when I looked at it, but I'm sure it makes real sense to you guys of how to work it out. So basically there's a multiplication table there. Tier 5 or lower, it's no titanium. Tier 6, it's 80k. Tier 6.5, blah, 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 and up it goes. So
and that's just for the base hull to start it up. If you just want to build a Warden, a Tier 7 Defender, 120,000 right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't it used to be 200,000?
Yes,
Yeah.
it did.
Yeah, so
So
it's
it
bigger
depends
now.
on what it is, but yeah, it does make a huge difference. Yeah. So have you looked at this much at all, Brian, personally, as of yet?
I can try to. I've got a blankish warden that I can throw in and take a look and see if it works. But this looks pretty simple to me. It's all about how much weight you use as opposed to its maximum weight capacity. Wardens are 20,000 tons. If you use 10,000 of those 20,000 tons, then you're going to get half of that 120K. So that's 60K. And if I can find where the heck I have a slot, I can try to look it up in, okay. And so on down the line, it scales down for lower hulls, and I'm glad that the lowest stuff, the stuff that you could research in your lab, doesn't cost titanium
At all.
because it's not that good, and you really shouldn't be asking players where that's their best conqueror to go get titanium, because what the heck have they got they're using?
They've got better things to do, and it's not the best
this-
conqueror. Yeah.
Yeah, the simple stuff. Where, okay, so now watch countermeasure is 1,000 tons. And it's given me 850. That's what, okay, so over 20,000.
You've got a table, Robin, haven't you? I think for this.
On the next page.
On the next one, let's move forward.
Yeah.
Wow, there's a nice bright picture for you. Blimey, I didn't realize it was going to be that bright.
Math checks out. I just put a night watch countermeasure on and did a bit of calculating, and yeah, it looks to be working right for the weight. And one of the key takeaways from this is remember the order in which you're doing things, and remember the weapon weight and armor weight and total weight of the specials you're adding, because even though it only says maybe 10, 15, 20% or whatever, when you have 10, 12,000 tons worth of weapons or everything else on the hull on there, that special may not look like much, but it's going to cost you a lot of titanium.
Yeah, I think this is a real good adjustment, because one of the biggest complaints has been some of the holes there, 210 and that sort of stuff. You go, right, well, I've got to go build this whole blank now, and it's really frustrating. And then whilst it's building blank, you couldn't corner it if you wanted to, because you've got to go back and get more titanium to finish off the darn thing. Even if you had the tokens, conqueror tokens to do, you've got to go, right, now I've got to wait. And all of a sudden you've gone out and to get to more some titanium and that sort of stuff, and actually the cycle's gone where you couldn't get the titanium, or you've got to go out with your Skyfires or wherever else it is, and it takes time, and all of a sudden you go, well, hang on a minute, it's taken this long now, or I can't do it tonight because I'm busy and that sort of stuff, and then you've gone past where it's worth using your tokens, so you've then got to wait a few more hours before you can progress in the game, which is, so this is good, and it's a simple. Even I can work this out. If you've only used 30% of your capacity, you're taking up, 30% of your 10K, so it's 3K. So it's dead simple. You can project forward, actually, in some respects, and you know exactly how much titanium you're going to need. So I like it.
I like that it's not random, because there were some things like you'd put a new weapon on would cost less in titanium than an old weapon, and it wasn't by like weight. It was like, if the moon is full and the tide is high and it's Wednesday, then it's going to cost this much. So there's a lot now. It's consistent. Taking off doesn't cost, and so this should really help folks out.
Yeah, definitely. Hey George, how you doing, mate?
Evening, everybody.
Hey, good to see you, buddy.
Hey, George.
You've been doing some frantic driving to get back, I know, mate.
I've been doing all sorts of craziness, I guess. I don't know. I'm looking at this, and this isn't math that I'm really going to actually get this far into, because it really doesn't do anything for me other than, I got to get titanium. But one thing I do note is that when they implemented the whole idea of titanium in the Conquest Yard, the availability of titanium was far different than what it's going to be. So, I don't know. I have reservations about the whole thing right now.
But at least it's not 210K for like a said ship. At least a hull is a hull is a hull. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, the fact that there's no cost to remove, and the fact that you can actually look forward and think, right, I want to put on 6 components. I know exactly how much that's going to take up a percentage. I know exactly how much titanium. Like Robin was saying, component is a component now. It doesn't matter what the component is. It's done by percentage. So it should make life a lot easier. We'll see. I don't know. There might be some skullduggery in the back end, but we'll see. In general terms, it's definitely an improvement, and it's I think even though I was looking at the forums earlier on, just the feedback forum for this week's update, and it went down quite well, this one.
And if this stays going forward, it's really easy to scale up because the weapons and such get heavier over time, and the hulls and the max fleet weight when you level up your dock and that sort of thing. If they keep this system and probably just adjust the base amount for a hull going forward, like maybe next year, tier 7 instead of 120,000, it's going to be 80,000, and it's going to go down. And every year it keeps going down and down based on weight and a percentage of that. I think that's a really good way to keep this simple going forward.
It'd be nice if you could do build times and that sort of stuff. The way for as tiers go up and that sort of stuff, then obviously the lower ones would automatically reduce in.
It was a nice day. Can we not get me started on that?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, but conceptually it would work really well, wouldn't it, with doing the same sort of thing? But anyway, moving on to the siege targets. I like this transition. I've tried a few myself. I wasn't a preview for this as well. I actually did try the ironclads, okay, and so a fully ranked set of ironclads, particularly with the flag, you can get up to level 67 quite easily. And you can actually smash out quite a few. But actually, if you're hitting the 52s, I think that's the sweet spot for the ironclads. And I worked it out, you could probably hit 8 to 10 of those. I think I was getting about 450 to maybe half. About 10 of those. I think about 400k, just over 450k, something like that. And then it's a case of go to fix and stuff. So for a low level, that's only got ironclads and stuff, and there has been a deal for the ironclads as well. You can still go and get your parts, so it's still doable with the very low. And that's a 2-year-old fleet, so let's not complain. Well, 2 years, 18 months old.
Yeah.
Fleet, so not too bad.
We kind of got a reprieve for this. I keep running into people that don't have their shipyards upgraded or their docks upgraded. After the 24th, these are going to be the new targets. And so we know they took away the 65k drac bases that were easy to do. These are now going to change. We know we've got the new SSB resource bases. So if you've not done your shipyard and your dock and got your buildings done, you can do them with base parts. We know there's going to be the next level of OP soon, but take this month and focus. And even if you have to shout on comms for someone to give you a hand, get those things upgraded, because as heavy as the fleets are now, people are actually buying fleets and they can't use them because they're too heavy.
Yeah. Very much so. So Buccaneers and Hydras and that sort of stuff. I'm finding my Hydras are definitely more user friendly in these targets. There are certain items in these targets that have been removed that were in the raid that are no longer there as well, so you'll notice that. Buccaneers are quite good if you want to go altering. They always have been, but obviously they take a bit more damage. But the Hydras, if you want to drive these things, then take your pick. Personally, I'm already starting to recycle my Buccaneers, but my Hydras were doing the 98 no problem at all, and the 103 as well, so I was quite content. And so 300k for the 103, because that's like a direct correlation to what is being replaced. And obviously once you're in a position where you can you can do the target, then the proto Centurions will be doing the SSRBs, which is the 500k one.
So I'm looking at a 103 right now, and I just took my books in. It looks incredibly familiar. It's like the second and fourth targets of that TLC for the proto-nem tokens that we had the other week.
Do you notice some of the repeaters are missing in there? There's some items missing, isn't there, in the targets?
Yeah, the emitters are gone, and thank goodness for that. This looks so similar with the layout and the placement of turrets, especially the long range ones. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, Venom's in chat there. He said he altered it with his bucks and he got 4 hours of damage for a 103. Okay, so I'm sure people will do some adjustment.
Really?
That's what he's saying he got, yeah.
Yeah, Venom just needs to drive better.
But look, that's the auto. That's the auto hull. If I'm going to invest in the top tier auto hull with the top tier turret weapons and specials and stuff, I damn well expect it to work.
Well, we'll see how it goes,
at
mate.
a reasonable rate too.
The bad news, George, is now you need your proto sense.
Yeah, but see, that's not how it's supposed to be. I mean, that's not giving us a
Well,
year
too
on
bad.
the hull.
The proto should be for the SSRBs. I've already said that many times over.
Yep.
Protos are for one particular area of the game, and they shouldn't involve the other areas of the game. But hey, we'll see how it goes.
They put out a TLC a week after the Protocent was released that contained things that made cannons impossible. That thing was balanced canon-wise for the Protocents, and certainly not the Bucks, and barely the Hydras. So I was gloom and doom about it, and I was hopeful, but they kind of already, showed the hint of what was coming the first week of its existence.
Well, the concern for me is that, the Hydras and usually after we have the raid, so I'm just going to use Hydras, for example, you have your Hydra fleet, and then there's, as you said, Brian, TLCs that come out afterwards that are supposed to be tuned to those fleets. We know there is a skirmish. We know the other two arms of the resource base are coming out. Are we now going to be in a position where we have a raid hull, and then that's all it's good for is the raid hull, and there's going to be some new proto yada yada that comes out right afterwards for that raid hulls, TLCs, and that raid hulls, SSRBs?
Apparently.
That's what's happening right now, though.
Yeah, I think that's the case. I think the SSRBs are definitely the proto go-to button. I'm going into this one here. I want 500k times 3, which is what I'm doing at the moment. I'm just hitting it 3 times and then repairing my fleet, because that gets me, I haven't got to worry about any cycles. All I've got to do is go and get sector orange, and that's it. So I haven't got to wait for the targets to pop up. It's not the most cost-effective way of doing it by any stretch of the imagination. Going and hitting the 98s with Hydras is dead easy, but I don't want to be getting 150 every time. I want to get it out of the way in 3 targets, so I can fill up in 3 targets. So that's what I'm doing. But yeah, frustrating. I agree. Clearly, obviously, 32s, 52s, 67s, all that sort of stuff. If you do happen to have proto Hydras done in the next couple of months, I spoke about how I believe that method of getting those things built should be dealt with over, a 6-month period. And then you'll be hitting the SSRBs and thinking that everything's rosy for you. But yeah, that doesn't really help you. But if you're not building them, and for those that are on the open seas targets, they should have nothing to do with protos at all. And actually, they've listed here that Buccaneers and Hydra fleets are supposed to be the ones. 4 hours fixed time? That's not
3 hours driving.
You've just done one 3 hours damage drive.
3 hours Buccaneers driving.
Okay, there's a challenge then. Beat 3 hours. Okay.
I'm sure you can. It's no big deal. I was just saying, auto versus driving, this is what you can save. 3 hours damage for 300,000 base parts. I think I'll try the next one with my Hydras. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and Cuttlefish is just saying there in chat. He's in there as well. Hello, buddy. It does feel like there's no love from Kickside for the Buccaneer fleet. I don't know what it is, because they don't seem... I suppose it's a little bit like going back to when we used to have the old skirmishes, and we had the Hellwraith, and then whatever the other flipping ship was, I can't remember now. Yeah, and the Tideseeker, and then one was like the champion, and the other one was like the
skill hull was the chump.
Yeah, it just felt like the chump. Yeah, exactly. And this time it's the other way around. The Buccaneers just not got no love at all, and it costs an awful lot to.
I think they wanted to correct it, because the Buccaneer in the raid targets, especially in the last 2 months on auto, was fantastic. It was really, really good. And I guess they didn't want people to auto, maybe to force people to build the other fleet. I don't know why, but it feels like they're really trying to, scrub away the existence of the Buck, because we already have something right now that is much higher defenses and not much higher damage, but significantly higher damage, I feel, than the Buck. And we just finished that raid cycle.
And most people have Buccaneers, as has been said there in chat as well. More people have Buccaneers than Hydras. I know there's TLCs out there as well and that sort of stuff. It just seems like they're taking advantage of the place. The things with the Buck as ever, you've got to shoot for a wall, whereas a Hydra you can shoot over a wall. That's the frustrating bit. Not so important, obviously, in the Legion colony, but it's just, as a concept, it's a fact.
It's the same with scatters and missiles. Missiles can shoot over walls, scatters can't. I'm waiting for the TLC the week after the Zoe or Proto Apollo where there's walls and everyone with scatter manties is going to be sad. Yeah,
me included. But hey ho. Yeah, it is right. Okay. Acknowledge the fact then that obviously, there are transitions, and it will disappear by the end of the month. Just bear that in mind, okay? And so whether you like it or not, No more pop-up walls, though. Hey, that's good. That's something, isn't it? And no emitters in these, so we should have a bit more stable targets. Daily deal updates. So being added, Manticore build tokens in well, you can read the same as I can. So there's a whole stack of tokens being added into the system, and there's a lot of daily deals getting taken out. The icebreaker build tokens, rage, interesting sloths. Why would you want a rage build token? Because no one builds rages anymore. Gluttony build tokens, they were actually quite handy in some respects because I was forever refitting those things. So the daily deals, bear in mind, these aren't the free things. These are things that pop up and they say sale, all that sort of stuff. And there's a little flashy icon on in the top left-hand corner, and you click on those. So, but they've got rid of some of the things. KD shards, interesting because there's still people building KDs, aren't they? But yeah. Anyway, the Zelos skin, the USA one, is being removed. There it is. As is the Monolith one. Yeah. See, sloth build tokens. Sloths are popular things, aren't they? Everyone likes build tokens for sloths because everyone's always refitting the darn things. If you're doing PvP, particularly.
Yeah, I do like that they're updating this, and I hope they continue to do it. Because some of the stuff that was in there's still some stuff that's in there that probably could go away yet again even more. But
yeah, I always bulk at some of the offers sometimes. I'm like that. Are you kidding me? How much?
So Buccaneer build tokens are a trap. I'm calling it now. We've been discussing it for the past 5-10 minutes. Don't get bug tokens.
Don't get bug tokens. Yeah.
Do like one of the campaigns offers and get Hydra tokens instead, or something.
Yeah. Anyway, they're doing some updates, so to keep an eye on those. And yeah, maybe they just think everyone's got enough icebreaker tokens now. Don't know. Righty ho. Okay. TLCs. Robin, want to take these two?
Yep. Okay. So the first one is for the Rapid Assault TLC. Runtime from yesterday through until the 10th of July. Recommended fleet Manticore. And the prerequisite is that one must have the Manticore. Price pack 1. This is for the Predator missile and the Cheetah scattergun. Remember, these are the things that were in. They were limited in the raid, and they were in the locked store. And I believe they give, I think it's like a little speed boost. I think the rest of the stats pretty
5%,
much.
5%, yeah.
Yeah. So if you couldn't get them in the raid because they were locked, this is the opportunity for you to get them. And remember, you don't have to refit to all of these. Just 1 or 2 on your hulls will help. Prize pack 2 is the Predator missile and the Cheetah scattergun, as well as Manticore tokens. And then we've got the prize pack 3, which is the, again, Predator missile, scattergun, and then the reinforced ablative armor, which is an interesting one.
Yeah, the explosive, yeah.
Yeah,
So
and then tokens.
Doesn't that give you building deflection?
Wait.
Deflection, and then
wait. Ablative armor?
Yeah, that's what the prize.
No, let me look in the game.
So
it should.
Gives you deflection against
missile.
Well, that there
explosive defense.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know why it's there.
What?
I don't know why it's there.
What?
Maybe it's because Mantis are going into these TLCs at the moment, and they're like for Skyfires
and they're
cheese balls.
Cheese balls. Maybe it's for cheese balls. I don't know.
You only get 1 though. What's the point? The other 4 ships take full damage, and ablative armor.
Put it on your flagship, maybe. Put it out in front a little bit. I don't know.
Okay. No, I'm sorry. I didn't even think to look before today, but yeah, no. Reinforced ablative armor never existed in the raid. You could get reactive for missiles and corrosive for corrosive.
Yeah. But this didn't exist. Yeah.
This never existed. This is for explosive, a damage type which should not be an assault, but it is because cheese balls and cold snaps, as we'll get into.
Oh, don't get me started on the cold snaps.
On the cold snaps, yes, we'll have a little look at those. I mean, we have. I'll say it now. Okay, every single member of the admin team here has put in a complaint that there's cold snaps in one of the TLCs because it's got nothing to do with that cycle type of target.
I sent a ticket in spirit.
It's just nuts anyway. But I can imagine there's probably a new game designer that's not been around very long that quite doesn't understand the cycle system, and unless it's a visual glitch, as I said, they have done lazy target changes before, but it's certainly kicking out stuff that looks like cold snap. But
so, and one of the things too on so I just did prize pack 3, so I got my reinforced ablative armor for makes
nice
no kind of sense. But At the start of the last target number 7, there's a turret, the blue corrosive one. It's hidden behind the sprite of the tower. The very first like giant volcanic tower at the top left corner of the map. You can't see it from where you are, so you'll just go forward and it'll probably hit you without knowing it. But there's a turret there and it'll hit you. So that's bad design. That's incredibly rude to have a turret there that you can't see and will shoot you.
Is it bad design?
Yes.
That's the question.
Or not.
It's something the player doesn't expect and can't react to their first time when there are, a dead fleet is how many hours repair? So
it's a trap.
So
yeah.
If the intent was to, damage fleets, then no, the design's fantastic.
If the intent was to damage fleets, then put a cold snap there.
Yeah, just crappy from a friggin' player perspective. I mean, it depends on what the intent was.
Anyway,
but they have turrets that outrange us and are uncounterable and have spreading MIRVs and stuff. They have plenty of ways to automatically damage us.
Yeah,
like exocet missiles that can kick out a secondary pellet that you can't counter. And is that a 1-7 target? Is it?
Oh no! Fire the second stage.
I went and did a whole bunch of testing on that little green booger missile, and I was not amused with what I found.
You can't stop it. There's nothing. It's not
that I can't stop it. I'm more annoyed at the numbers that I'm finding for
the damage it creates. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that you can't do anything because the minimum damage or over damage or whatever the hell they want to call it now is way higher than a typical missile was in the past, or penetrative damage was.
Yeah, they are beasts, aren't they? And you've got to get to them as fast. I find you need to get to them and kill those things as fast as possible, more than the rockets and stuff like that. The sooner you can kill those exocets, the less I find you get less damage. But that's yeah.
I'm so over it. I just auto the damn things now.
So quickly note then, as you see, these whether you've got a scout fleet or whether you've got a missile fleet, obviously one of these on each of the hulls will obviously help speed up because you get a 5% boost. You don't have to. Be careful, obviously, because if you've got the Darkwind CIC, you don't need to put them on all your hulls because the Darkwind will do a speed match. So you can play around them a little bit and have a bit of fun. But they don't do anything. There's no improvement as such. You don't get more damage and that sort of stuff. It doesn't do any of that. It just gives you a little bit more of a speed boost. Do you want to waste your Manti tokens to put these on? Probably not. But, if you're mad like some people are in this game and you just want to do things, then fill your boots. It's going to gain you just a little bit of speed and nothing else. All right.
What you trying to say, Mark?
I can't say anything, mate. that was diplomatic as I could get it, right? Hydra's hollow. Okay. Yeah, Robin.
Can we go back a minute? I actually kind of want to talk about the other TLC a little more. Do we have time?
Well, yeah, we can go back quickly, but as long as it's not too long.
Yeah. Really though, you want to get 5 of these at the very least, so that's all 3 runs and 2 masteries, so you get 1 per hull. There's 3 12-hour ship build tokens, but you can only hold 2. Be careful. I recommend if you want to put one on a flag, use one of those 12-hour ship build tokens because you can't use the Manticore tokens for the flag. I like the new targets, but pack more Gales than you think you'll need because I've been hit by 3 cheese balls this past run. And with how the targets explode, there's usually a bunch in a row with a lot of cheese balls flying around. And you can't counter them all. Bring Skyfires I found to be very good in this one. I found them to be better than the Manticores.
Yes.
So how you like that? And that's it really.
So this is an upgrade TLC. Well, they class it as an upgrade TLC for the Manticore, but the items that are in it aren't really an upgrade. So this is not a TLC to get to the Manticore. You had to have done that, obviously, in the raid itself. So I don't see this as an upgrade. I just see it as a sideline. And yes, you can go and do all this if you really want to. Take that damage and just get some build tokens. I'm going to pass it by. That's what I intend to do. I'm not touching it.
Reinforce the blade of armor.
Yeah, whatever. Moving on. Hydra's hollow. Robin?
Yep, this one started yesterday as well, through until the 10th as well. Price pack 1 is the Hydra Siege Cruiser and the Siege Capacitor CIC. Price pack 2 gives you the Multiplex Charge Doubler, the Siege Mercy CIC, which is the one that you pop on your lead ship to heal the other ones, and then the Siege Aegis CIC. Price pack 3 is the Blood Hydra, which of course is the flag. Optimized launcher, and then there are a bunch of build tokens, and then prize pack 4, which is the mastery run ×2, gives you both Hydra Siege Cruiser tokens as well as the Blood Hydra tokens, and then VXP tokens. So if you've not done this before, you've not built Hydras and you want to do them for the other targets or finish those off, then this is a good way to get some tokens.
Do it. The Hydra's a better auto hull than the freaking Buccaneer at this point.
And this is a rerun, so nothing changes. And you can virtually do this one for free if you've got Fang Tooth. It really is quite decent. And I use Protos, and I did mine nearly all of it on auto. And
even the one free Proto in with your hunters.
Yes, I saw. Yeah, I remember seeing someone said about that last week. So not a bad little TLC. And do you know, a shared load of tokens, build tokens. You know, I mean, there is a lot of stuff in there. So even for the flagship, which is nice for a change. So there's you're getting the flagship, you're getting the normal hull, you're getting the CICs that you want. It's packing a lot of stuff. I know it's last season's boat and that sort of stuff, you know, in terms of how things are playing at the moment, but it's still this year's hull. And it's still my preferred option. I really like my Hydra.
Still works on the map targets, because especially if you weren't able to get the Proto Centurion for the SSRBs.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
You start on prize pack 3 if you've got everything, which is nice for those people too. You just skip the first 2 prize packs, so you don't have to grind.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, I'm on. Yeah, because there's nothing. That's why it's all green there, you know. So you literally just jump straight to prize pack 3. So you've only got 2 rounds to do. So it's quite nice.
I actually
want tokens. It's great.
I'd actually like to see them do this for all of them, because boy, I tell you, there's nothing more annoying than getting a 5 prize pack TLC and the first 3 prize packs gives you a stinking little 9,500 VXP token. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Was it the Eviscerator? The Eviscerator one?
They dragged them all out.
And then there was another one just recently, but it was like the first 3 prize tags was like 1 VXP token. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, thanks for nothing. Just damage for no damage.
Or just give the opportunity to skip it. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree. Right. Okay. So bug fixes and balances then. So what do we have then? So the RFX engine is interesting. So they reduced the total weight, because obviously it's this total weight, as in like you stick this on the hull at the end after you put everything else in there, and all of a sudden it made it hugely overweight. So they brought it down. 8% doesn't sound a lot, but actually for total weight, that's quite a bit. That's quite a chunk. Which means you can put some more funky stuff on your hull.
Escalation weapons.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm scared
it
of
does make a big
escalation weapons.
difference. 40% to 32 is quite a considerable jump. So that's nice. Yeah, tokens for portal weapons. Remember, there was a problem. People were trying to put on, you know, we won the tokens obviously in Bounty, and then he tried to put on a blunderbuss, say, onto a portal, and you couldn't utilize the token. It wasn't possible. Now you can, apparently. Proto Centurion fleets will not correctly trigger maximum weight checks in combat. I don't know if that's true. I've not actually seen many Proto Centurions on the water yet. I'm still building my second one, so I'm not really
They're
sure.
pretty good. They're fun.
Yeah,
Fun hulls. Yeah.
I'm getting.
I only have one built, but one of the guys in my alliance has a whole fleet, and man, do they rip through things.
Yeah, as they should. Because I concentrate on the Proto Tide Seekers, and I'm using them a lot now, and I've got a full fleet of those, and I'm really happy with them. But I didn't have anything else to do.
I'm sorry. I just autoed a 103 with. Anyone want to guess what I got for damage?
On your Hydra?
I autoed it with my Hydras.
Are all your CICs the same, or you got stepped ones?
I got the first one has the repair one, and the rest of them are the, what the hell do you call them? The green little scrambly thingy looking things.
The Aegis, the defense ones?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. I'd have to actually look.
What is 5 hours?
Nope. Way too much.
What is 2 hours?
37 minutes.
Well, that's all right.
On auto. It's not the auto hull. I have a problem with this. I have a fundamental problem with this. If the Buck is taking 4 hours of damage and the Hydra's taking 37 minutes of damage. There's a problem somewhere.
Yeah, but then again, there's a problem. You've got cold snaps
this.
in certain targets which shouldn't have cold snaps in it. So there are a few problems.
This is the map target, though. I mean, how the hell did they balance this?
Can I scrap my bucks now, or do they have to be fully repaired?
I mean, what in the hell?
Hey guys, it is what it is, but it's not right. I agree. But at least you've got a baseline. So you're saying 37 minutes, or
definitely
40 minutes autoing with Hydras on. So that's good. That means then on the BP app, I'm trying to do as much as I can on the BP app at the moment. You know, I'm using.
This would be a
icebreakers on the 111s at the moment. I managed to get 24 in last week for my FM. I completed my FM on the app, and I just went and fixed, and I managed to get all my FM done. And I'm doing it right now as I'm doing the show. I've got my phone in front of me, and I'm just hitting, select target 111 go. And at the moment, I'm up to 11 targets, and I'm still 77% health. So, for the icebreakers, that's working. And if you're saying it's 37 minutes, then I'll do exactly the same then to get my base parts. So, it's
the build I have is built for auto. Like I converted the Hydra to an auto hull. Well, me, Vengeful, and Templar. I mean, we all messed with it, but I mean, it'd be great. Yeah, it's going to be awesome for the people that have the Hydras, but I mean,
yeah,
I don't know.
Strange.
Interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting. I'll play with it, and I'll see if I can come up with I'll see if I can do a video today or something and put it up on the page.
Bizarre. Anyway, moving on then. So the suggested loadout in the FM will now always default to the selected hull. Okay, and so that's the bit at the end, because obviously, we had these just selected loadouts, basically ideas to build hulls. So there was ones there, obviously, for the lower level hulls, to be honest, Apollos and that sort of stuff. But it did say the suggested loadout now. It wasn't going to the right area, so now apparently it is. So personally, I never clicked on that screen myself. Well, I did. I clicked on it once to have a look at what was in there, but then I realized the holes that are in there, so I've just left that screen alone. But for people that are coming into the game, it's a good idea. I'm not saying it's not a good idea, because it is. It gives them a good idea of how to build the concepts of the basics there. So, or you could watch one of Ren's videos, which is just as easy as far as I'm concerned, because he's the master at doing the how-to videos as far as I'm concerned. That's it, I think, isn't it? It is. That is us. Right. Let's stop that and take that off.
How much do I owe you, Mark, for the free advertisement?
Credit where credit's due, mate. I just like listening to your tones, mate. That's good. You're nice and calm and collective when you do it. Right. Yes. So that's it in this week of BP. Like I said, it's the 4th of July. So for those in the States, you're probably going to watch this back tomorrow, because you really should be doing things with your family. Isn't that what Independence Day is all about? I'm not really sure, but I believe that's the done thing. You get a day off work, or you have to take a day off work, or whatever else it works. And apart from all those, obviously, public services and that sort of stuff, or entertainment, because then you're supposed to be looking after everybody else that's supposed to be having a day off. So for the others that are working, unlucky.
What we actually do, by the way, is watch people consume mass quantities of hot dogs on ESPN, and at night everything explodes because fireworks.
Oh, really?
Oh my gosh, down here in Mississippi, it's like weapons grade fireworks or cannons.
Oh,
yeah, we got
and I'm serious, it's cannons.
Go on. Let's go back. Go on.
Not cannons,
Let's go for it. Go on. We've got a few minutes. Tell me about it. So, what's so good about the celebrations on the 4th of July? Because I know,
I can tell you right now, because we're not English.
No, it's not that. No, I'm talking about the celebrations. Not what is independent. So you celebrate, like we have New Year's Eve. It's great, fantastic at all in the UK. But when I lived in Germany for like 14 years, man, did they celebrate New Year's Eve? They just knocked the globe off the spot for the ridiculous amount of fireworks and that sort of stuff. I've never seen so many. They just go crazy for it. And we celebrate other things as well. I mean, you have like Halloween, that sort of stuff, which is sort of like inkling over here. But yeah, we have our, street parties and that sort of stuff for certain things. But, to celebrate the Boston Tea Party and that sort of stuff, the way you do it's interesting, isn't it? So.
Well, it's our Declaration of Independence. I mean, just like the Greeks celebrate their Independence Day too. I mean, it just depends on each country. y'all are so old you probably don't even remember when the heck you got independence because you guys were still in the caves.
In the cave, yeah. Oh,
So-
we're forever getting independence because we get conquered by one lot, and then by another lot, then by another lot. The UK sort of like is the master of being conquered. If you look at it long term, we even got conquered, by the Europeans, but we're getting Brexit, so we're back to normality.
Brexit will be your Independence Day if it
Will
works
that be-
out
yeah, that's the whole
eventually.
day.
So subversively, we're getting, and we've now got our country back again. I don't know if that's the right way of looking at it, but not that I'm pro or anti, but I just thought it was a cheap shot. Hey, not to worry.
Gotta amuse ourselves.
As ever, right, across the panel, anything else that's bugged you this week, Brian, in the game, or anything you want to pick up on that you thought, oh, that was interesting or quite decent?
The Assault TLC I think is interesting, but I have concerns with mortars and rockets in assault targets, especially after they tune down the accuracy on the countermeasures and then put 50 cheese balls in the air at once. That's rude, guys. Come on.
It is a little bit cheeky. I did watch somebody doing one of the targets. Went, look at all those fire fields. Just the driving around the darn things is annoying because you don't want to drive through the things. They're horrendous.
And no one put gales on the now they're in for it.
And as I was saying before the show, where we had a quick chat, you want to drive, the cheese ball's landed, it's nowhere near you. All of a sudden, there you go. Oh, look, there's a fire field down there. I want to avoid that. So you drive around it, and then if you aren't careful, you drive into one of the flipping cold snaps. So yeah, it's a double whammy sometimes. George, anything from you?
I shall refrain from cussing in this show.
Please do.
The Cadies, I lost my Cadies because of the damn cold
yes.
snaps.
Yeah.
I was not amused at all. There is a way around it. So anybody that wants to use their Cadies, Rum Runner actually, because I told him before he tried, and he was like, I'm gonna try a couple of things. And if you send in just one missile manticore with it and drive it a little bit, you can actually pull it off. But again, it's not, it's the Cadies, man. What the hell? Why is there? And the thing is, this isn't the first time they've made this mistake in that target. So I kind of wonder why they've made it again, or if this actually was intended. So you couldn't just auto it with the Cadies. And then I think we're going to go back to, hey, Kixeye, make the damn game fun. We'll spend money if the game's fun, but we're not hitting the fun target at all.
I don't know. People seem at the moment just spending money if it's not fun as well. So, they just like spending money. One-upmanship.
Yeah.
Anyway, being quiet tonight. But Ren, anything you want to pick up on particular?
No, just overall, not having any fun in the game lately.
Yeah.
So
you can hear it in your voice too sometimes.
I'm doing bare minimum to keep up, if that much. Not even doing all TLCs because it's too boring.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm in a position where I don't need to do the TLCs too much, but they're not that exciting, to be honest. Anyway,
Ren doesn't sound like his happy-go-lucky self tonight. I mean, it's a little depressing.
No. Robin, yourself. Anything that you've noticed in the game?
Well, nothing here. Just like I said, if you've not caught up on your buildings, do so before the end of the month, before the targets switch over. Hard time for the new base parts 1, so get that sorted.
Super duper. For myself, what have I noticed this week? So ballistic turrets, for some reason, visually, whether it's visually or actually, I'm not really sure. But if you put more than 8 in your base, you manage to stack to 225% and above, actually, even without having the ballistic, switching over to the right group. I'm Scourge at the moment, and I'm still at 225% on my turret damage. That's what it was recording when I looked at one of my Howies. So somebody come and hit my base and got absolutely annihilated today, and I think it was the turrets that did it, not my god. So something's wrong. Whether it's just a visual, I don't know, but my turrets absolutely mutilated the person, and I don't even have the right faction up. So I don't really know what it is.
Quality.
Yeah, I don't know, mate. I don't know. There's that. Obviously the wardens aren't retargeting still for some reason. Don't know what it is. Some people are putting ships in behind the traps, and sometimes those ships are still not firing when people are attacking them. There's quite a few things in PvP at the moment which aren't good.
Quality.
Yeah. There are some jiggery pokery stuff going on for me in PvP. So they tried to do some fixes and some balances, and as ever, with a quirky code that's 10 years old, it causes some issues, and it's definitely causing issues in PvP.
Quality.
Yeah, or inequality. It's
Quality is job one. It's going to be the new Ford.
It's a level of quality.
Yeah.
The pro to me this week though is the titanium issue. You know, that is the number one for me. I like the way they're going forward with that, and I think it's a really, really positive step. I like it a lot. It's going to save a lot of hassle, and it's something that's fixed right the way throughout now. The percentage game is going to make life a lot easier, but it's not a game changer, but it certainly smooths the pattern, and it costs us, the player, nothing. In fact, it saves us a lot of admin time because you haven't got to go out and do so much choring. You know, so I quite like that. Right, that's it. Unless anybody else has got anything else, we'll call it a night.
I just checked the FM.
All right.
The Haymaker drones, they updated the amount because I got 2 of each of the past 2 weeks, and it now says 4 out of 5. So you can only get 5 of them total in the month, and I think it's great that they are now showing that.
Ah, right, because it didn't say that before, did it? So actually, it does
No.
say it now. Yeah, they said that was all you could get, but didn't actually say that in the FM, did it? So, okay, that's good. So yeah, just out of interest, before I close, then, so I've now done 14 targets with my icebreakers, and I'm at 75% health. So doing all right. Quite like that. That's the 1-1-1s. So things are going quite well. 1-1-1s are back to stable as far as I'm concerned, which means I can do this. You know, grab a couple of minutes every now and again during the day, which means my FM's done while I'm at work. That's a little bit of isn't that a bit of a, you know, doing this sort of thing while you're at work is a little bit worrying, I suppose, when you think about it. But anyway, right, stop rabbiting. Thanks all for tuning in. Have the rest of the happy 4th of July, you over there, other side the pond, you buggers. And for those that have the day off, enjoy it with your family, as you should do. For those that are working, try to make sure that A, you earn your money, and B, you make sure those that you are supporting have a good day. And for everybody else that hasn't been on tonight, that will be on at the weekend, then obviously we'll pick you up on the open mic and see what your views are. Just leaves me to say good night. Good night from me.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Pleasure as ever. Good night.